So there comes a point in time in everybody's life where you look at something and you say, I will never own one of those. And then the point comes around where somebody offers you one in trade for something you are selling. And you look at it and stare at it and think about it. You send a picture of it to one of your friends, hoping they will tell you no, don't do that, to instead be told you would be a fool not to do that deal. So that is how we ended up with this. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm not exactly sure what year this is. I was told it is a Hemi, I think is what it was. Hemi little mini bike. I think that's the brand of it, but I'm not sure. I haven't really done a whole lot of research on it. I just got this thing yesterday. I traded a Simplicity riding mower I had for it. The 5212 I used to have, I sold that one off for it. So this is something that I sat there and I said I will never own one of these because I wasn't really a huge fan of them. I don't like going fast. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are surprised by that. I don't like going fast. And well, they're dangerous, but that's what's fun about them. This one does run. This is the second thing I've ever bought that has actually run when I got it. I was kind of hoping that it didn't run when I asked because I thought, well, that would make it a little bit interesting to get it running again, but no, it runs. So nothing wrong with that. It was kind of nice to just pull the cord on it and go. But traded that Simplicity off for it, and I'm sure you guys want to see me drive this thing around before I do any of the work to it. Some things it needs, I noticed. I did drive it yesterday. It was getting dark out, so I had to stop. The throttle on it tends to stick. What I mean by stick is it will come back, but it holds it open enough where it grabs the clutch, and it has a creep to it like what my 140 does. And also it throttles down real slow. So that is one thing I want to take care of about it. And another thing about this thing is it has absolutely no brakes. You use your feet to stop it, and in the course of stopping it with your feet, you end up ripping the bottom off of your shoe. Yes, I did. So yeah, that's the problem. So what do you say we take this little contraption outside and we play with it a little bit before we bring it in here and start working on it, since I know somebody's going to want to see this thing running, and maybe I'll give it a wash before I bring it in here. That way I'm not getting dirt into everything. I don't know how the oil is in it. I don't know how the air filter is in it. I have not checked any of that. I was saving it for you guys. I was pretty well tempted to, but I decided I'll save that for the video. That way you guys can look at it at the same time as I look at it. So yeah, let me set you guys up outside. I'll get this thing fired up and we'll take it out and see how. Actually, on second thought, let's just go ahead and start it. I have not run it yet today. This will be the first start. And then the throttle hops around. I think it's loose, is what I think it is. There's a bolt. Should be a bolt. Man. I think that's exactly what it is. So that's the problem right there. Let's see if we can get it to start and not have it run away. It does start pretty easy though. First bolt. Sounds good. Let me get this outside and we'll take it out. So I was told the bike does 45 to 50 miles an hour. I will not be testing that. However, we will take it out for a little drive. There we go. So I took it out and I gave it a wash. And as I was playing with it a little bit, I noticed a couple of things that just didn't really seem all that right to me. One of them being this. That's your throttle. That's what the throttle is hooked up to, and I'm sure you can see how loose that is. So I would consider that to be a problem. And another thing I kind of thought about was, I wonder if I want to run a kill switch up to the handlebar. That way you can kill it easier instead of having to reach down here if, let's say, it runs away or that throttle comes off like, well, what it's doing right now. So, I wonder how difficult. It actually looks like it's bolted on. Yeah, and then it looks like it used to be bolted on in the back too. I did wash it. So I want to see if we take that off, we should be able to get to the throttle setup. I don't know if it has a governor in it or not. It's not taking off like an engine that doesn't have a governor would, so I'm going to go on ahead and assume that it has a governor in it. Let's see if this is a 10 millimeter or not. I want to say it is. It is. So I would say, if I had to guess, this is probably the first time I have really messed with a Predator engine. I don't really mess with these all that much. Okay. I was hoping the nut would turn by itself. And the one thing I have not done yet is check the oil, which, yeah, you should do that after you get something. However, I wanted to save working on it for the video. I hate this extension. I hate it a lot. There's no linkages or anything in it. I didn't think there was. There's that right there, but that's about it. Please tell me there's a filter in there. Is there a filter in this? Because that didn't... Oh, there is. I was going to say it almost didn't look like there was. But yeah, there's a filter. Filter don't look too bad, it's not wet. Not wet or full of oil, so that's good. So right here's your throttle. And it's where would full throttle be and where would idle be? Is that idle right there? That's idle. So it must have a governor then if it's able to push it back. I seriously don't think that's supposed to move like it is. Is this 10 millimeter? Yeah, that's loose, see? There you go, there's your problem. Let's see how tight we can get that without it stopping. Or how tight we can get it without that not being able to move. Yeah, we can't do that. Because if we do that, that's not going to be able to work right. And we do want it to spring back. Now it springs back. And actually, I think that might need a heavier duty spring, is what I would say. You can't push that back, no. You can't pull on that and have it come back. I was afraid of that.
Where the hell did that go?
Oh boy, this could be great. So that already explains to me why the throttle was sticking as much as it was. And then this, that needs to be adjusted. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how to adjust this. Or if you really can. I've never messed with one of these before all that much. I wonder if I was to come in here with a pair of pliers and turn that, if that would do it or not. Are you guys able to see what I'm, no. So there's what I'm looking at, that spring right there. It's not quite pulling it back all the way, but we do have this figured out, and it needs to come back more. I need to figure out a way to keep that from getting caught. And then also underneath that gas tank, this is a zip tie, which it looks like it's just holding onto that spring, which goes to this linkage. Yeah, I see that. I don't know if this engine has a governor in it or not. I feel it has to. It's got to have a governor in it if it's pushing it back like it should when it's running. Yeah, it's true. It's got to have a governor in it. Let me grab a pair of pliers and let's try bending that a little bit. And the other thing we have to keep in mind is this has no brakes. I want more tension on this spring. And the reason that I want more tension on that spring is that's what pulls it back and stops the engine from going. Look at that. Already getting what I want out of it. Cool. So it does come back all the way now and hit. That's good. What do you say we bend that a little more? Just to get a little more out of it. There we go. I don't like how that's not coming back all the way. I'm afraid to take it out and try it. I don't think it's supposed to go wide open like that when it's just sitting. What's causing it to do that? Unless that's the way they have that governor set up. But it comes back when it's sitting there running. Yeah, so it goes back, which is good. I'm gonna put another nut on top of it, and hopefully that going on there will stop this from, all right, fine, fuck you. Maybe that'll stop this from moving as easy as it does. There we go. That does go back all the way now. Let me see if I can find a nut or something I can put on that and make it work. Now is that actually going to work? Is that a 10 millimeter? You just don't want it to turn that bottom nut, which is what it just did. There we go. Look at that. There we go. This is what I want it to do now. So what do you say? When you throw the airbox back on it, pretend we didn't see any of that right there, and we take it out and we see if the governor returns now like it's supposed to, and it doesn't try to run away, and it goes a little bit slower. I'm suspicious of it having a governor. I believe it does have a governor, the way that it does run. However, at the same time, I'm kind of questioning it. So let me throw the airbox back on it. I'll just do that off camera. And once I get the airbox put back on it, we will see about maybe using it. So I got the airbox put back on there. Another thing I did was zip tie that right there. That way it would stay away from our throttle on the engine. This right here needs to be tightened up. As you can see, it kind of wiggles, which it's not supposed to. So we'll come in here and we'll give this a nice little tighten up. Should be tightening it on the nut end, I know, but I'm doing it this way because this side's easier to access, and that's probably tight enough right there. Yeah, see how easy that still moves. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's jump over to the other side and let's take a look at that one, and we'll see how tight that one is. So I know both of them had some pretty bad movement. Yeah, they both have some pretty decent movement to them. And then the one thing I don't like about this one, and I'm sure you can see it, that clutch is right there by your foot, and I have felt it. And that's gonna suck when that chain flies off and takes off my foot. I can already see that happening. I think I'm gonna call that good. So there we go, we've got that on there, both of them are tight, so they're not gonna come off on me while I'm out there messing with it. What do you say we pull it off the table, fire it up, and see if that throttle works now. And while we're doing the throttle, we can go on ahead and check everything else. One thing I do want to do on here while I'm thinking about it is I want to take that throttle and I want to swap it out for one kind of like what a bicycle has for the brake lever. You pull back on it and it goes that way. I'm not a fan of this throttle because you go to grab that handle when you go to get on the bike, and I've done it, and you tip back on it and it kicks the engine and it wants to go. So that's one thing I don't like about that. So that's one thing I want to take care of. And I do want to put one on there anyway on the other handle for brakes. I do plan on putting brakes on it if I keep this thing. So there you go. So yeah, let's go on ahead and let's get this thing down off the table. I got to move that cub out of my way. And once I do that, we can go on ahead and try it out. Thoughts and opinions, what do I think of it? After adjusting that throttle and tightening that nut up, I can absolutely say that made a pretty decent improvement on it, as well as tightening up those little footboards. That made it feel a lot safer. Same with the tightening up that throttle. It's a lot less responsive and it seems a lot more better, where before you had to feather it and play with it, and if you breathed on it, like I said, it would fly. Where I have it now, you just pull back on it and you can keep it at a constant spot and it will go constant speed. Where before, if you kept it at a constant spot, the engine would rev up or slow down. So you kind of had to feather it and mess with it. So that's nice. One thing that we still need to figure out with it is not idling down. It is still trying to coast. Now it is throttling down like it's supposed to after tightening that up, which is good. However, I don't think that spring that's on there is pulling it back all the way, because when I came in here earlier after I was done riding it around, it's still, as you can see, going back, you know, that much. Sometimes it goes back all the way. Other times, you know, you got to force it a little bit to go back all the way. And you can't push it back all the way with that hand peg. So that's one thing that we got to figure out on this, is how we're going to fix that problem. I believe we could put a heavier spring on it and that would fix the problem, or we could bend that spot back a little bit more where that spring is attached to it, and that would fix the issue. I'm pretty happy with it though currently, although I wish that I could let it sit there and run after getting off of it and not have to shut it off. But I guess that's good on gas, having to shut it off. But it would be nice to know that it's just going to sit there if I do leave it sit there and run to warm up. You can leave it sit there and run right after you start it up, but you know, once you start getting into it and going to use it, you're going to have to shut it off because, well, the clutch is still grabbing and it wants to go. I just thought of that. I didn't even try pulling back on that throttle. Let's take it back out, and I'm not going to go all the way up to the driveway again. I'm just going to take it and coast a little bit, but I want to see if we could even do it in here, but I want to see if pulling back on that throttle helps, and if it does, we'll pull that air filter back off there and we'll see about bending that tab a little bit more, try to get a little more travel out of that spring and get a little more pull out of it. So let me set the camera up somewhere you can see everything and we'll try doing that. So either one of two things is going to happen now since that's warmed up. It's either going to sit there and stay like I want it to, or it's going to take off a little bit and creep, which is not what I want it to do. I would figure since it's warmed up and it's running better, it would probably take off and want to rev a little higher, because they usually do when they're a little warmer. Maybe not. Or maybe playing with that throttle a little bit, put it where it's supposed to be. But we'll try it to see what it does anyway. Ready? So the engine is not idling low enough to get that clutch to disengage. The way it works is there's a clutch material in there, and inside of there, there's a set of weights. The weights come out as the engine spins faster and they grab onto the clutch surface on the sprocket, and then inside of here, ow, that hurt. There's a clutch material in the little sprocket. In here, that's where the weights are I was talking about. The weights come out and they grab onto this clutch, and that's what causes it to go. When the engine goes faster, they come out. When the engine's idling, let's say, what would be an idle point on one of these engines? 500 RPM, maybe even less than that. They stick closer to the drum, so that way they're not moving, and it's not moving the bike, where, as you guys can see, the engine's not idling low enough, which is causing that to be engaged. So we need to get the engine to idle a little lower. I don't remember seeing a screw in there for, actually, you know what? I did see a screw in there for that, so, okay. We might be able to do that. Let's get it back up on the bench. Let's pull that air assembly back off of it. And once we pull that air assembly back off of it, let's see if we can figure that portion out. One thing I also noticed on there is the brake disc kind of flops around a little bit. However, I think that's just because I had it up in the air. I doubt that, but it could be. So that might be a reason why there's no brakes on this thing. I don't know. So yeah, let's go on ahead and let's put that up on the table and let's see what we can figure out. So let's see about getting to that screw in here. I believe this is it right there. I don't think that's a jet. Oh, and the camera sees it. Good. I don't think that's a jet. That looks like what? Yeah, that's for your throttle. That's for your idle. I want to bend this tab a little bit more. Maybe that one too. And then once I do that, we'll grab ourselves a screwdriver. Looks like a Phillips, and we'll see about getting this took care of. So let's pull that back. There we go. That's pulling back on that nice. Oh yeah, look at that. That's better. No movement at all. Cool. That is exactly how I wanted it. So let me grab a Phillips head and we will get that taken care of. So we want to go, wait a minute. Did I say, I thought so. I was gonna say if that's a, so let's kick it that much. I don't really know what it'll do it that much. I don't think it'll drop it too horribly much. I can't start it right now with the airbox off because the carb is just kind of flopping around on there at the moment. So I could throw the nuts on there and try it, but there's no spacers and yeah. And I can get to that. I think I can get to that adjustment with the airbox on there. Let me throw the airbox back on it and we'll try that and we'll see how it does. Also, this engine does have a governor in it, I found, because when I ran it earlier, it would have screamed if it didn't have a governor. And plus, it's pushing the throttle back all the way, so it does have a governor in it. I kind of figured it did, but I wasn't exactly sure, because I had figured since you're going to be running it higher than the normal RPM, you would want to take that governor out so it doesn't fly apart. But maybe not, because it seems like it's still working. So I got that airbox put back on here. What do you say we go on ahead and try it again and we see what happens? Should be throttled down a little bit, I would think. It may even be down too much. Actually, that sounds better. That's a lot more like where it should be. Okay, I'm pretty content with that. That got that problem took care of. Yeah, see, it's not creeping no more. That's good. I might try to idle it down just a little bit more. Nah, that's fine where it is. Take it out, I guess, and ride it around some, and or you know what we could do? Not the greatest idea, but the shop is long enough. Seems like it's doing a lot better, so yeah, I would say I call that a win. Yeah, okay. So I really don't know a whole lot about these Predators. However, I do know that they are Honda clones. These are engines that they sell at Harbor Freight. I've never been a fan of these. They are Chinese engines. They're junk in my opinion. However, this one doesn't quite win me over, but it's not a bad engine, and it's actually, that's over full, and it's done pretty good. I don't smell no gas, and the oil looks clean, so I'll chalk it being over full as it's on an angle. And it's got oil in it, and it doesn't look metallic either. The little bit that dripped on the floor. So I'm going to go on ahead and say that we're pretty good on this one. I don't really see a problem with it at all. And that oil does look clean. Unfortunately, it's not going to look clean. It might look a little bit clean. It's not going to look all that clean right now because, well, I just wiped it off the floor. You know, but it's pretty clean. It came out all right. So it's got some use on it for sure, but it don't look too bad. So I think I want to do brakes on this thing. That's the next thing I want to do, but I want to do that in a separate video. That way the video is not 2 hours long of messing with that and then jumping on the brakes. And plus I don't have the stuff for the brakes at the moment. Let's see, what do I want to do? Let me think about it. I might continue on with this, or I might just go on ahead and cut it and wait for some parts. So while I'm sitting here thinking about it, I want to oil up this chain. That way it's good and lubed. Not quite oiling, but getting the stuff into it. And you want to be careful not to get this into the clutch. That is one thing you do want to avoid. Because if you get that into that clutch is going to slip and it'll eventually be ruined. That chain is just really, really loose. I doubt it's supposed to be like that. And that actually looks a lot better. I think we got the whole chain. Let's see, we did. Move that around just a little bit. I know that WD-40 is not the best thing to use for lubricating a chain, but it did it. It'll do the trick for what I'm doing, so. So I want to bring that chain back a little bit. I'm thinking this right here is the bolt that goes through the bearing to the other side of the bike. That is what holds the wheel in. I'm not sure what this is. I want to say this is a tent. This pushes back on that, I would think. I'm not sure what size that would be. Is there one on the other side too? There is. It's threaded into this though. Oh, that's nice. It doesn't go back very far though. It's a lot shorter than the one is on that side over there. Looks like a 7/16. I might take this out right here. I feel like that's supposed to thread into this. It is, it's grabbing on threads. I can feel it. I'm gonna take the bolt out over here on this side. I'm gonna see what thread. It's a 7/16. Looks like a standard thread to me. Because the one on that side felt like it had threads in it too, but that bolt just looks too small to me. And it's got nuts on it, which now that I see that, I would kind of like to have it thread into the thing if it does. Because I feel like that's what those are, they're adjusters for moving the wheel back on that chain. So here is the bolt from the other side. Yeah, that looks bigger than what that is. Yeah, yep, that's what I thought. Now I wonder if you adjust these, but if you do that, how do you get to these to tighten them? Because that would hold these from turning. It should, at least, I would think. Maybe it doesn't. Is that a 7/16? No. That's not 7/16. It's something metric. It's gotta be. Let's take that out and see if we can get it to move back with a bolt on that side. Moved it up just a little bit. This is a 5/8 wrench. Wait, 9/16. Not 5/8. This is a 5/8 wrench. No, it's not 5/8 either. Must be a. Let's try 11/16. I thought for sure that was 5/8. Here we go. I don't expect that to hold on there very well. Really? That's too small. 9/16. Oh, well, that's gonna round over. There we go. Let's try that. Let's just loosen it up a little bit. And we'll see if we can kick it back some. There we go. There we go. That's what I wanted right there. Right there. That should be loose enough. We can play with it, right? It should be. Let's see. Let me throw a thing in there. Let's just, might as well see what happens. What do you think? Do you think this one will do it? I have a little bit of threading to spare. It even threads in, look at that. We need a wrench, but it does go in. Threads on here might need to be cleaned up. Might even want to consider running a tap through this, actually. Maybe. Unless the threads on this bolt are screwed. And they very well could be. Let me check something real quick. So let's see if we can get this tapped thread in here. The threads on the bolt that came out of it look kind of rough, so I'm just gonna go on ahead and give it a little bit of attention while I'm in here thinking about it. That way the bolt might go on a little easier that we're gonna run through it. And I did make sure it threaded in, so that shouldn't be a problem. I don't think we're cross-threading anything. There we go. There we go. Let's back that out. And I know someone's going to say something. Yes, I know you should be putting cutting fluid on this. But for what I'm doing, it's so small that I don't need it. Also shouldn't be letting that flop around as much as I am. That I can agree with. There we go. There we go. We still have a couple of threads left. Let's see how far back we can push that wheel. Where's the wrench? We might want to throw something on the end of that while I'm thinking about it. I hope it's pushing both sides back, not just one. It's bending that meh. It's bending this, yeah. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Okay, back it off. Yeah, so we're bending this. It's not doing what it's supposed to. That, or maybe I just don't have it loose enough. That very well could be. Because I was going to say this almost looked like it was bent a little far at first. Yeah, if it moves that easy. If I can move it without effort like that, that's no. No, that's not going to work. We're going to have to loosen that up a little more, or just shove something in here and push it between these two and try to get a little more out of it. To try to tighten up that chin. Can't think of a way to really get in here though. I don't know what size that is. I feel like it's a 10 millimeter, but conveniently my 10 millimeter wrench is gone, so. I feel like we need to tighten that. Where's that wrench that I just had in my hand 2 seconds ago? Actually, while I'm thinking about it, and the fact that we just bent that, I'm going to bend this one over out of my way so I can get the box end of the wrench on. This one actually is still. Let me grab a couple more crescents. We're going to play with that one on the other side because it's still pretty solid. Come on. There we go. I know someone's gonna say it, yes, we could use this to push that further over, but I would rather get the right bolt put back in there. And actually, while I'm in there, bend that out. Someone who probably has years of experience with these is probably watching this video right now and thinking, this guy is a fucking dumbass. To which, yeah, you would be correct. But to be fair, I've never played with one of these before, and they're not really that difficult to mess with. They're pretty simple. I've messed with more complicated things. It's just kind of a little bit different to me. So that, in theory, not quite. No. There we go. That comes off now. Yeah, it's bent a little bit. I'm thinking there's threads in here. Yeah, there's threads in there. Okay, cool. And then I expect to be able to throw the tap in there and move that, or get the threads cleaned up. There we go. Get that bent straight. I do want to run this tap through here just to clean up whatever damage was done to the threads over the years of that setup being in there. To be honest, I'd be surprised if there's any threads in there at all after having that bolt run through it. Went through though. So hopefully we'll have some threads and an adjustment we can make. I'm thinking that's what that's for. I don't think that it's for keeping the bolt from moving. I wouldn't think, but maybe it is. Maybe that's all that this is for. It makes sense. However, I would expect it, I would expect this to be some sort of adjustment for that. And also this chain, which actually seems like it's a little bit stiffer. Let me grab another bolt. So here's the bolt I'm going to use, and if we have to, we'll throw a spacer in it or two, just to help it. I should clean the threads up, I agree. But at this point, I want to get this done. Where is my wrench? So we're going to go on both sides. Oh, I wanted to loosen it. Now that I think about it, that's reminding me. I wanted to loosen that back wheel. And then I want to see about tightening on both of them and getting it to be tight on this. So I would say that should be pretty loose. So let's see if we can get this to tighten up on here. And no, I'm not going to leave it loose like that, so don't worry about that. I just loosened it up for right now, that way I can get it to slide, but nah. It did seem like it was loose earlier, or tightened earlier. But it just seems like it got looser and tighter, looser. So. So let's see about getting this to go, if it will. There it goes. It seems like it's going. It's working, I'll be damned. Look at that. We just got some tension on the chain. Do you guys even see that? Oh, you don't. There you go. We got some tension doing that. I want to go a little bit. I'd like to get it as tight as I can. There we go. That's actually. Do you want a chain to be tight or do you want a chain to be loose? I would think you'd want it to be tight. That might be. I might be wrong though. I'm used to belts where you want the belt to be as tight as you could possibly get it. I'm not really used to chains. I don't really mess with chains all that much. I would think that you'd want it to be tight. That's where I'm going to leave it because I believe that's where it's supposed to be. It's tight. I can't flop it around anymore. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to get this. I don't know if actually. Yeah, I might want to come back a little bit too. Let's see if we can get this to come back just a little bit. Although if we do that, we're not going to be able to. That's true. That'll hold it on that side. I'm going to pull back on this wheel. That. There we go. That way I can try to keep this where it needs. Oh, you motherfucker. Fuck. It's gonna turn. Shit. Oh, we were trying to get that back. Let me see. Can I shove something in here that'll hold that back on, even on both sides? Okay, that'll work for me. POS. Stay right there and don't move. Shit. Anybody want to volunteer to help me? You fucking piece of shit. Hold on the goddamn bolt. I only have 2 hands. Worthless. Let's try this. There we go. On today's episode of New Swear Words I Bet You Didn't Know. I'm hoping that's straight. I would think it would be. I am holding it. Now I think I'll be able to let go of that and it should be fine. And it should stay straight. Never mind. And of course, I can't put a box on it because, well, guess what? That's holding it. There we go. One more on it just to get it good and tight. There we go. Let's check that chain and make sure that chain is still on there good. Not too tight, not too loose. So I got that chain on there. I got that on there tight. I think we may have over tightened it because I'm pushing it around and it is turning the engine. So that's a problem and we do not want to start it like that. So I'm going to mess with it a little bit. I'm going to loosen that chain back up and I'm going to get it on there tight, but not too tight. And just kind of see if I can get it in a good spot where it's tight and it's not catching. So unless that clutch is bad, but I doubt that. I don't think that's the problem, but it could be. Let me mess with it a little bit and see what I figure. So I messed with it a little bit and I ended up loosening the clutch on it just a little bit, or the chain on it just a bit, because it kept on grabbing the clutch when you go to turn the bike. The engine was turning the whole time, so I'm starting to wonder if that clutch is bad, or maybe not tensioned right, or needs adjusted. That could very well be. I'm not quite sure how to do that at the moment. I would have to pull it apart and look it over to see. However, I loosened the chain back up a little bit. It's not loose and it's not as tight as it was before, so it should be all right. I'm gonna start it up and just make sure that, yeah, see, it wants to go with it, which is what I didn't want. Let's see if we can get it to start and not move. Ready? No smoke or anything. Let me get that tractor moved out of the way, give that a chance to warm up now since I finally can. And let's take it outside and let's see how it does now with the tighter chain. say I'm happy with that. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. I want to thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If it's your first time checking out the channel, please consider going down below, hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. It tells YouTube that you guys like the videos and want to see more. It tells myself the same thing. I know this isn't the typical thing that we mess with, and for most of you watching this for the first time, this is not the typical thing that we mess with. Usually we mess with old garden tractors and other things, usually getting them running again that have been sitting for a long time, old push mowers and you name it, I've played with it. It was nice to step out of my little zone and play with something else. I know we didn't get it running, it was already running when I got it. However, we messed with it a little bit and we made some adjustments on it and we made it just a little bit safer. The next thing that I want to touch on it is I want to get the brakes took care of. I have a friend of mine who wants to make me a trade deal on it. He made me an offer on it in trade for something else. I'm really considering that deal, but I want to make sure this thing is good and safe before I do consider selling it off or trading it off in this case. So I'm kind of, you know, because I would feel it would absolutely destroy me if something happened because my negligence with this. So, but yeah. All right guys, with that being said, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see more videos on it or do you want me to get rid of it? Alright. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Take care.